Yeah, it's a shitty intro, but anyway, hi.
I love it.
So, well, it kind of ends abruptly. It wasn't supposed to. There's supposed to be more to it, but I can't find the original, and I don't know. Anyway,
hey,
production value
is production value, right?
Yeah, we're not much for production values here. So anyway, Austin Sims, and I found you because we both talked to what. Lionheart, and what are the other names that he uses?
Wolf-Bitten Jewel is the name I met him under. God. I didn't get the name Eric until just before our first debate.
Yeah, I think he used to go as Lionheart.
Yeah, he goes by Lionheart on YouTube.
Yeah, and he was
it's kind of hard to find his channel, because if you go in and search up Lionheart on YouTube, it comes up with videos of a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. Kickboxing movie from the 80s. I think that's what he got his channel name from. He's picturing himself as the Christian evangelist version of Jean-Claude Van Damme, kickboxing atheistic evolutionists like me.
So one time, my introduction to him, we had a conversation. He was telling me about how the biomolecules couldn't possibly be produced naturally. And one of the biomolecules, I asked him, what are the biomolecules? And he said nitrogen, among other things. And I was like, okay.
You know what? I bet carbon is a biomolecule that can't be produced naturally either. Oxygen, definitely. Man, can't produce those biomolecules. Man. They don't exist in abundance, but don't look into that.
No. And then I talked to him. The first stumbling block we had is he kept talking about how evolution, you have to prove evolution.
Yeah.
And no, you can disprove it, but you don't prove it, right? You do that in math. And and I saw that you had kind of a thing on here with where you run into the same bullshit with them. I forget what the transcript said, but anyway.
The thing is that science doesn't do proof. Science does collect as much data as you can, then use that data to better understand the universe if you can, and resolve to collect more data if you can't. And when it comes to evolution, they've collected a ridiculous buttload of data, and we have definitely been using it to better understand the universe. It's been essential to countless geological sciences like astrophysics, particle physics, volcanology, meteorology, all this stuff.
Medicine.
So it's crazy when they say there's no evidence of evolution. Right. Medicine, it's hospitals. Yeah. Every hospital you walk into is full of evidence for evolution. So, it's kind of silly they don't accept it.
Some bone diseases harken back to basically pseudogenes that used to create different kinds of bone types in fish that we no longer have. And basically there are problems with like arthritis and stuff like that. And so they've been able to illuminate a lot of that by looking at the genes for bones in fish. It's kind of amazing. They have more types of bone and cartilage than we do, fish do. And we ended up cutting out a few. So anyway,
there's so many clues to our relatedness to other creatures inside of our bodies, and especially at the biomolecular level. Like the way we're talking right now uses the same biomolecular elements that birds use to sing. Like, come on, you can't tell me that's a coincidence, Yeah.
Our friend Chris Thompson, he studies bird songs, whatever. He's a
cool.
neuroscientist, right?
That's awesome.
And you got to check out his site.
I love that.
Maybe,
I absolutely will. Post in a link for me.
Maybe Scott can find it for us. I see Scott is lurking. He's lurking, Scott. Anyway, so first of all, well, introduce yourself and tell us about the Creationist Super-Thesis.
So my name is Austin Sims. I'm just a guy, just a little guy, who likes debates and has been doing debates since middle school and did, high school and collegiate debate too. And, went to school for biophysics for a while before I, pivoted to computers and now work in that field. And I still really love evolution and biology and immunobiology and all kinds of life sciences. So I still study them just as a matter of idle interest and like talking about them. So as a result, I just ended up running into creationists online a lot because anytime you post about these subjects, they just kind of come out of the woodwork and start screaming nonsense. And so I decided, you know what, I'm done with, pussyfooting around it. I'm going to take them on directly and basically throw down the gauntlet. And so I thought about how I could do that, and I came up with this Creationism Super-Thesis idea where I want to basically write a textbook for a philosophy of science class all about creationism and evolution. I want to make maybe a museum or two about creationism and evolution, like maybe a museum about the actual scientific evidence, and then a museum about the philosophical and theological and ethical and all those kinds of ramifications of evolution. I want to make a website that's directly about the subject. I want to make a video library on YouTube. I basically just made my whole life a giant Kitzmiller versus Dover trial that's going on 24/7 every day, where I'm the judge, and any creationist who wants to come into my courtroom and try and change the law of the land, in my view, can come and try themselves out. And I think it's a great idea because, one, I'm not actually part of the scientific community. I'm not some science shill that's getting paid by big science to come lie to creationists and mess with them. I'm just a passionate guy who likes debating and likes intellectual conversations, which, they're really hard to find with creationists. But sometimes you can find some intellectual conversations and they're pretty good. And you definitely learn about a lot of subjects doing it.
Right.
Like the fastest way to become a polymath in the modern world is to just debate creationism and evolution with creationists for, however much time you can do it in your free time for like a month or two, because by then you'll be, at least somewhat familiar with like speciation, geographical isolation, reproductive isolation, sexual selection, natural selection, mutation, extinction. There's so many topics: mud, silt, volcanoes, all these different species, bivalves, rabbits. The list of things you will learn about debating these things is endless. And that's part of why I want to do it. And then the other part of it is the Earth faces really big problems. Like I have 5 really big problems that I'm focused on, but I'm focused on solving as many problems as I can. But the 5 big ones are like war, hatred, violence, inequality, environmental self-destruction, undervaluing of science, skepticism, logic, rationality, politics, education, overabundance of pointless competition and not enough cooperation. And then the 5th one that's like not as immediate is our planetary mortality. The fact that at some point Earth is going to become unlivable for us. Either the sun's going to expand or some gamma ray burst is going to take out something and it's going to throw our gravity off. If by that point we haven't found somewhere else to live and found some way to get there, that's it for whatever descendants we have by then.
Yeah.
So those 5 big problems, and I feel like creationists are on the other side of a lot of those problems. Like they're definitely on the side of the environment, the other side of the environmental self-destruction problem. They're definitely on the side of the war, violence, hatred, and inequality problem. They're definitely on the side of the planetary mortality problem because they don't even think the planet's ever going to be in danger because God made it, and He's got a shield of faithful, magical protection around it. So I think debating them is actually kind of worthwhile, even as stupid as people think I am for doing it, because at least it fights the brain drain a little bit, Like it'll maybe get some of the people in the audience at least thinking about those problems, even if they disagree with me on how to solve them. Like science says, you never know where the good idea is going to come from. So you know what? Why not get people thinking about it? Why not fight them in their spaces and try and change their mind a little bit?
Yeah, one of my big things is neuroscience. We know so much right now that can be so useful for how to teach children how to avoid conflict and racism and violence and all that crap. And the creationists are just like absolutely against using the approach that our mind is biological. And because it's biological, we're driven by biology in a lot of these things. And if they would like teach children what is going to happen to them when they have a crush, on somebody, or when they basically end up in competition or all of that, that there are like biological elements that are coming to play in their life. And
biopsychology,
even teenage angst and things like that are basically biological forces are at work driving children to where if they don't mate right now when they're like 14, they think they're failures, right? Especially men, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to get crazy, and it makes you crazy. But we know enough about neuroscience to explain all of these things. But the goddamn religious people are going to put their foot in the, they're going to hold their foot on the door, and they're not going to let that one open. Man,
that's something I want to talk about a lot with my project. Is why they are against these things. And I think the environment side of things is part of it. And fundamentalist interpretation of the Bible is is another part of it, because they use the fundamentalist interpretation of the Bible to support all kinds of terrible behavior and say, God is on their side and that's why it's not bad. Like my personal history with this, the pastor I was telling you about that made my life North Korea, his son dating my mom, and I know they were both drunks who beat their wives. And his son, when he would beat up on my mom, would always scream about how the Bible says a man's house is his castle, And it's because they interpret other verses like that they need the verses about Genesis and, the early universe. They need that to be true too, because if they let any part of it unravel, that's the slippery slope they're scared of.
Right. Do you want to share that story that you gave me a little bit of about what happened when you were growing up with this pastor? Or you don't have to.
I can truncate it because it's a really long story and there's a lot of pain. Basically, my mom was dating this guy. This guy had a dad who was a pastor, who was a hardcore right-wing evangelical creationist. He found out that, I found church boring and didn't want to go, and I liked science and was reading science books. And he basically made my life a POW camp of creationism and gaslighting and craziness until my grandma learned what was going on and came and shut that down, very viciously. She was a Unitarian pastor who was an educator for 30 years. And actually did a lot of her coursework in zoology and was like very much like a theistic evolutionist type. So she flipped the F out when she found out what was going on and demanded all that had to stop, and started taking me on trips to the zoo and answering all my questions really unflinchingly, and, saying the Bible's poetry and science is inquiry, and you should interpret the Bible with both faith and reason, and yada yada. All the theistic evolutionist philosophy, of which there are ample amounts. That's very, very old.
How old were you when that happened?
I was like 6 or 7. My mom passed away when I was 10, So it had to be around and before then. You know how childhood memories are. They're plastic and they warp.
Yeah, I
a little.
know. Yeah. I always get the year wrong. It's like 2-3
Yeah.
years either way, and I'm not entirely sure where it is. Yeah. I was introduced, my mom brought me to Presbyterian Church in Mount Iron, Minnesota, up on the range. And she sat me down there. She never pushed it on me, but she wanted basically to expose me. So I went to Sunday school and stuff. And at about age 8, I said, nope, this is bullshit.
That's how my grandma was.
And it was boring. And but a minister sat me down and he told me about the metaphor of creation, right? That every year, every day was, 100 million years. And he was pretty forward looking for a minister in like 1959, in a small town in Minnesota. So he was not a creationist, he was a theistic evolution.
Oh,
So anyway.
to Scott's question there, I have no idea. Actually, there's so many branches of Christianity. I didn't even know there was a second one. I assumed the first one. Otherwise, she probably would have described herself as the second one. But maybe I don't know on that one, Scott. Great question. I should look into that. I'll ask my aunt. She passed away recently, so I can't ask her myself.
Yeah.
But I think my aunt might know that, and she lives just nearby me.
Anyway. Yeah, that kind of child abuse is that really bothers me. And captive death.
Fight it. Yeah.
He just found a YouTube channel from Henning, Minnesota, which is like up in northern Minnesota a little bit. And this guy has seminars where he talks to 8th graders and he's preaching this bullshit to them, right? And then I have some great nieces and great nieces and nephews that are being homeschooled, and I think they're being fed this creationist bullshit, and it just kills me.
Yep, that's the brain drain. That's taking vital intellectual resources away from solving these big problems by putting their brains into a blender and just putting it on, top speed.
Right. Yeah, and God knows, they're going to reach high school or college and they're going to go one of two ways. And if they go, basically they realize that they've been taught all this bullshit, it's going to be kind of a hard transition phase for them.
Oh yeah, it was for me.
It's going to be a bitch. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I went from young earth creationist, kind of basically being forced to be that, to old earth intelligent design type, to theistic evolutionist, to now I'm a full-on atheist, brainwashed evolutionist, as Kent Hovind would describe it. Yeah. Although I think evolutionary biologist is a more accurate term.
Yep. So you've got an upcoming debate.
An evolutionary biologist. I'm just somebody who likes evolutionary biology. They made up that word to make evolution sound like a religion called evolutionism.
Evolutionism, right?
Our religion, even if it were a religion, should be called evolutionary biologism. But, that sounds kind of dirty.
Yeah, like it always strikes me as odd when somebody asks me if I believe in evolution.
Yeah.
It's like, I never thought about it that way. But, because if I believed in it, I wouldn't keep reading. Because I don't know how certain things happen. So I keep studying it. So it isn't like a belief where, I know, end of story. I know how it happened. It's like I don't know exactly how the liver evolved, but so I started reading about it and I learned a lot about how it evolved. But I still don't know everything I need to know about how the liver evolved or mammary glands or whatever.
It would be impossible to know all that. There's so much. You could spend your whole life studying it and still not see it all.
Yeah, I get on mammary glands, the evolution of mammary glands. There's this Swedish researcher who wrote papers on it, and I get Google links 5 a day of new papers that are being published on that, right? And I haven't looked at them for Yeah, on breasts, how basically mammals develop.
You know what? I have no
And
problem believing that, because just you bringing that
yeah,
up, I'm thinking of like 6 topics I could talk about for hours. The
right.
platypus and the echidna,
Yep.
kangaroos, all kinds of marsupials with
Yeah.
interesting mammary gland setups.
Yeah, and even basically egg-laying animals have on their skin they nourish the eggs, right? Not
Yeah.
just with heat, but with moisture and sometimes
Yeah.
nutrients. And that whole thing developed, and eventually they became tits.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why we love
It's
them,
like, cool.
because they are
That, like,
giving life.
yeah, that's something that any adolescent boy would really be interested in, is the
Yeah.
evolution of memory.
Yeah.
It's
Well, that was part of why I tried to
like,
get my second debate with Eric to be about the reproductive anatomy, because I know
right.
that's a really interesting aspect of it that's good for getting young
Yeah.
people into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he said, okay, yeah, fine, we'll do that and abiogenesis. We have enough time. And I was like, no, we don't, man. So I kind of called his bluff and wrote like 45
Yeah.
minutes of prepared remarks about reproductive anatomy, which of course he said, no, you can't do that. We'll just do abiogenesis.
Yeah.
I kind of anticipated, and then still kind of kicked his butt on abiogenesis.
Yeah. Yeah. They come on and they do this trick all the time where they want to say, oh, they want to talk about common ancestry, right? For
Yeah.
humans and like chimps, right?
Yeah.
And then within 10 minutes of talking to them about that, they're talking about abiogenesis. And okay, now all of a
Yeah.
sudden we've gone 4 billion years backwards, and they're asking about the thing that we know, granted, we know the least about, right? Well,
Yeah.
no, we don't know the least about it. We know
There's a
so
lot
much
of
about it.
unanswered questions. Yeah.
Well, there's so many possibilities that we
Yeah.
don't know which one was the one that actually created it, right?
That's a
And
fantastic point. Yeah.
yeah, and that, so they love to go back to that one because we can't tell them, we can't start right away. So what I do when I talk to them is I say, okay, I'm going to grant that God created the first unicellular animals, right?
Yeah.
Like 3.5 billion years ago. I will grant that. We're going to talk about evolution from there forward.
Yeah.
And they, oh no, abiogenesis, you think man came from rocks or whatever the hell. It's just like, and then if they want to
Yeah.
talk about abiogenesis, then that's a whole bigger discussion, so.
Yeah. The whole man came from rock things. That's something I'm preparing for. That's one of the Hovindisms I have on my list. And I do think I
Right.
have a pretty decent responses, which is basically just to ask, the clarifying question of, you're saying there's absolutely no way whatsoever that something like clay, sand, dust, earth, rocks, mud, anything like that could ever give way to life, even if there's other
Right.
elements involved, which of course nobody could rationally make that argument. Even they're not making that argument. They're saying absolutely those things can give life. The element you need is God.
Yeah. Yeah. Abiogenesis is a good one, but
Yeah.
there's a whole
Yeah.
lot of,
I
there's
think
so much research on it. Oh my God, what happened? Something weird happened here. This is bizarre. Okay. I don't believe this shit.
your face just lit up.
I know, because I got a big white, I've got two 55-inch monitors, and one of them just went white with this PDF reader, which I can't seem to get rid of. Like,
Yeah.
come on, dude, go away. Acrobat reader. I can't even get rid of it. It keeps timing out on me. Okay.
Yeah, I think the way they bring up abiogenesis and then use it as a punching bag is pretty despicable, because I think abiogenesis is like ridiculously auspicious. It's super freaking cool that we are unraveling one of the biggest mysteries in natural
Yeah.
history, period. Where did life come from? Mind blowing, right? If you could go back in time and tell some pilgrim from the 1300s this is how life came into existence. Yeah, you probably get burned as a witch, but his brain would
Right.
probably explode first of all.
Immediately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool to know what the mechanism was. And I think
Yeah.
well, within the next couple hundred years when we start doing planetary exploration,
Yeah.
well, in fact, by 2028, I think we might have a clue.
That's a huge way you could use that knowledge.
Yeah.
The planetary exploration side of things.
Yeah, coming from the moon probe, I forget where they sent it. I forget which moon. I think it was one of Jupiter's moons. They're sending a probe to. It's going to arrive in 2028, and they're going to fly through these geysers that are popping out of the ice, and they're going to collect samples. And I don't hold out a lot of hope that those moons have, the precursors to life, but it's possible. We might find it. We might find it on Mars. We might find it all over.
Microbiological life, maybe some kind of extremophile. Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
We found extremophiles on Earth in the volcanic vents of the ocean and all kinds of places that we used to think life wasn't possible thriving in. And yeah, I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Who knows what we might find from that? That's super auspicious too.
I've been realizing in the last, actually more so in the last couple of weeks, that Christians have a particular way of thinking about the world, where they have answers, right? They have these things that they absolutely believe in, these certain answers for, like, how life was created, that God created life and all that stuff, and they project that onto us. So they think that when we think about abiogenesis, that we have some preacher somewhere telling us, oh, it came from rocks. And we say, okay, end the story, right?
You're right.
And no, I have probably 100 books on the subject. And I haven't, and I just scratched the surface of them, and I'm going to be learning for the rest of my life how it happened. And that's why I don't think it's a belief. So when they ask me if I believe in evolution, it's like, it ain't like that.
I study evolution.
Right. If you ask me how I think, we got here, it was evolution. But I wouldn't describe it as
that's the answer to how the species got here.
Right. So they project onto us. And the other thing is the thing we did yesterday, Dave and I and another person did some videos on this worldview bullshit, that we have an atheistic worldview. And it's them projecting this worldview shit onto us. And it's like, no, atheism is simply, I don't believe in your God, like the one that you're presenting to me. A worldview, now I'm a naturalist and I'm a physicalist, and that's a worldview, but that has nothing to do with atheism. Right. Yeah. So anyway. But it's amazing
they
how
played a lot with evolution, because I think they've kind of realized they can't really fight the data anymore, so they need other approaches. So it's like the old saying about, pound the table, pound the law, pound the facts. If you have the facts, pound the facts. If you have the law on your side, pound the law. If neither on your side, pound the table.
Right.
And
Yeah, and the reason that they're so much into this creationism science is because they want to avoid at all costs you asking them why they believe in this bullshit.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, they want to make the subject all about what you think and what you believe and what your worldview is. And then when you ask them, well, okay, I'm dying to believe in this God, but show me something, give me a reason. I can't think of one, and they can't think of one either. They have they say, oh, well, we have the Bible, and it's like, oh, that ain't gonna work. They would
bring up the Bible, or they would say you're going to go to hell.
Yeah, and it's like, no, that's not an argument, not an answer. So they Standing for Truth, Standing in Poop, made his entire channel based on this attack, right, by science. Yeah, and he's got all these shitty books, which are really shitty books, and his whole thing is basically
a big part of it. They make money.
Right, his whole thing is keeping atheists from asking the question, "Why should I believe in this? What do you got for me? Give me a reason." show me something. Show me something in the clouds. Show me something somewhere.
Right.
You know, it's like, don't tell me to
Yeah.
look at the fucking trees.
So I actually kind of like called their bluff on this a little bit, and like I said, when you get into evolution, you learn about all these different topics, and you become this kind of polymath who knows all these things about
Right.
these different topics. You know, heuristic morphology, comparative genetic analysis, transitional forms, analogous forms, embryology, artificial selection. That just going through the list and reading embryology reminds me of, I wanted to mention earlier that, you know, when you were talking about fish elements that we share, when we're embryos, there's elements in the neck that are fish-like. But, you know, all these different topics. So I actually was like, I realized I can ask an AI to, you know,
help you
put together. Yeah. So I actually went through and asked an AI about 50 different topics. How does observed speciation support evolution? How does paleoclimatology support evolution? How does anthropology support evolution? I did like 50 different topics, and I posted all the answers and links on like the biggest creationism Facebook group there is. And there's been a huge response to it. And this is part of how my prep for Hovind is. I can just go to this big body. I actually just texted you to the link to in the private chat to the page where I posted. I can just go through and, you know, put this link up, Donnie. You know, let's talk about what this says. And it's even got the parts relevant highlighted. And yeah, I think I'm ridiculously well prepared if he wants to get into that. And I want to try and since the topic isn't just, you know, evidence for evolution, is it reasonable to say there's evidence for evolution? I am planning on kind of surprising him and starting off in the theology and philosophy section. And it turns out there's a lot of big time theologists who lived and died long before Darwin was ever even born, who had an evolutionary view of creation. You know, big names that if you're a Christian, you should definitely show some respect to. Names like Saint Aquinas, Saint Augustine, Saint Athanasius, Saint Clemens, Saint Didymus, Saint Irenaeus, Saint Justin. There's 7 saints right off the rip. And then we've got Philo of Alexandria, Origen, called one of the greatest geniuses, Christian geniuses ever to live. There's Maimonides, Gersonides, like 14 other, you know, Greek deeses. Like, I don't think he's going to be ready for that. I think his response to, what do you know about other exegetical sources of the Bible that disagree with your extremely literal creation view? He's going to go, what? You know, like,
be careful. Donnie is probably listening to us. And he's going to have cue cards for
yikes. Yeah, I should maybe not discuss my strategy too much then. I want to get his unvarnished reaction.
Yeah, you want to get his unvarnished reaction. Yeah, Ian Chen had a couple of hilarious debates with him. It's unbelievable. But Breakfast Tacos is here. Captive Desk is here. How to Rule an Asteroid. Logan Fisher. I've been not paying attention to my chat. We got 11 people here. Anyway,
well, that's good.
That's good. And I put all your links in the description so that people can subscribe to your channel. Please, everybody, subscribe and keep an eye on this guy.
Well, thank you.
Okay. The project, the Super-Thesis project. That's one thing. There's another project coming on that you familiar with Deconverted Man?
Deconverted Ben? No, I'm not familiar.
No, man. Deconverted Man.
Deconverted Man? No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a YouTube site, and he has a new project called, I think it's called Project Nothing.
Interesting.
But he wants us all to basically put down a little testimony when they say, "Oh, you think the universe came from nothing?" How many of us don't think that? And so we can give it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to mention it. No.
I don't think nothing is even possible. It doesn't make sense
Yeah,
from a physics standpoint.
I give him a response, and my response was, where the hell is it sent here? Let me see if I can read it. Sent. Project Nothing. I said, we are, where the hell is it? I'm going to light up again. We are stupid little apes living in a hotspot in a vast universe, which itself is likely a hotspot in some other kind of structure. We often look out through our stupid little ape eyes and think the universe must match our own stupidity and be just as dumb as us.
Yeah.
There is no fucking before time or outside space. Whatever the metastructure it is not space-time. Now, on nothing, there is no nothing to come from. So both come from and nothing is just more dumb ape stuff. I do not believe the universe came from nothing because I am trying to be a little bit better than just a stupid ape. So anyway, that's my spiel.
That's a great response, actually. Yeah, because no, it's a straw man. I feel like that's a big central idea in my creationism super thesis is that creationism itself, anything to the other side of theistic evolution, is basically just a straw man repeated ad nauseum. That is Kent Hovind's almost entire career is just repeating straw men ad nauseum. And he does that to keep people stupid, to keep people in his worldview, in his constipated, narrow, literalist, fundamentalist worldview, where it's okay that, sometimes people get a little drunk and they got to put their wife in their place because the Bible said so,
Yeah.
Or they have to mistreat trans people or gay people because the Bible said so. I'm not hateful. The Bible, it's a way to pass the buck.
For people that believe in God, I mean, if you think about it now, if God created the universe, basically God could have done it in one of two ways. He could have zapped it into existence. But if God was a really great poet, he would have created this structure in space-time, this, hot, dense mass, and expanded it with all of this complexity and this entire story, the story of biology and evolution and all of that. And if God is looking down at these fucking creationists and he did it that way, he's going to say to them, you blasphemer, you asshole, you totally pissed on my creation by making it a simplistic children's story. It's like, you stupid ape.
So you know what's so funny? You basically just paraphrased Augustine, Aquinas, Athanasius, Didymus. That is basically their argument. They believe that, it makes more sense for God to create a simple universe that's capable of complexifying through nothing but nature and natural forces. Because God doesn't just jump out and say, here I am. He wants you to have faith in him. So he has to hide his handiwork. You were so spot on with that. That's why I was just nodding my head excitedly the whole time you were saying what you just said.
We got a question here from How to Rule an Asteroid. He wants to know if you have thousands of slides. Like, is he referring to Hovind? Like Hovind will have thousands of slides?
No, I don't have that. I have one slide.
Donnie,
you want to see my one slide?
Yeah, one slide. Okay.
I know I don't want to give it away the whole kit and caboodle right off the rip, but I did make one slide.
So, Donnie Badinsky from Standing in Poop, he keeps going through his slides up and down the whole time you're talking to him. Like, he's got this PowerPoint presentation with about 50,000 pages, and he just keeps scrolling it up and down every time you talk to him about something. It's fucking amazing.
So you want to see my one slide? I can share it. Can I share my screen?
Yeah. Okay. I get. Well, no, that's Scott. Yeah. Go ahead and share it. I don't see it yet. So.
Yeah. Here we go. Entire screen. I'm trying to. It's not letting me share it. Is there a way to?
Really?
You need to give me permission. The share button is grayed out when I go to entire screen. Yeah, it's grayed out.
Details, Project Nothing. Let's see, what the hell? Okay. It shouldn't be grayed out. Settings. Okay, people can share screen. Participant named. Oh, automatically share screen? No, we don't want to do that. Guest can control all presentations. Show non-video. Show QR code. Huh. I don't see a permission for that, so I don't know why.
Huh.
Maybe if you send it to me, I can.
Well, I actually made it in Microsoft Paint, so I can send it to you over Facebook Messenger, I guess.
Oh, yeah, because you haven't figured out how to use email yet, apparently.
There you go. I just sent it to you.
Well, let me see here. Okay, let me see if I can pop that up. Oh my God, where is it? Did it? Can I download it? React forward. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's see if I can put that in.
I can just read what I can tell the audience what it is too while you're trying to bring. It's that meme of Steven Crowder, where he's got the "change my mind" sign, and I've went ahead and I put in the space above evidence of evolution, and then I listed like 50 topics from archaeology to zoology and much more. Change my mind. That's my only slide. Is that
okay.
All 50 of those topics are evidence. Oh, yeah, there you go. You got it.
Yeah,
so it's a lot of topics.
This took me a little bit. Anyway, okay.
Comparative genetic analysis, heuristic morphology, transitional forms, analogous forms, embryology, artificial selection, forensic paleontology, predictive power, like how they perfectly predicted Tiktaalik, observed speciation, ecology, geography, biology, genealogy, psychology, botany, virology, biochemistry, zoology, horticulture, pharmacology, cellular biology, anthropology, marine biology, microbiology, ethology, cytology, taxonomy, phylogeny. Kent likes to complain when you bring up 15. Like, I've got like 50 here.
Do you have embryology in there? You better.
I sure do. It's right near the top, actually,
okay.
I think.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's good. You need that.
Yep,
okay,
embryology is number 4 or 5 there. And then, yeah, I've gone through and compiled links supporting all of those, and I've been working my way through about 300 links, and then I want to start working my way through the thousands of references. It's probably going to take the rest of my life.
Right. Scott, yeah, did you want to say something, Scott?
Oh, hey, Scott. Nice to meet you.
You're muted.
Hey, Austin, it's good to meet you. I was just going to, out of curiosity, see if turning on guest can control all presentations will let him share his screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, try that.
So I just turned it on. So let's just see if it helps. This may be a waste of time.
Yeah.
No, it's not a waste of time for me at all. I need to get this stuff down if I'm going to be doing YouTube presentations and stuff.
It's just, it just seems, I don't understand why he's not able to.
So let me know when you've changed the settings there, Mike.
I've changed it.
I've changed it? It still hasn't grayed out. It's
because you're from Michigan. You're from Michigan. Didn't you go red in the recent election?
Maybe.
so they're not going to let you share screens in Minnesota anymore. Yeah. It's like we don't share screens from red states. I'm sorry.
Michigan has typically been historically a swing state, so they go red and they go blue sometimes.
Minnesota is almost a swing state. We were only 4% this time, and we used to be just solid blue. Because of the farmers and the miners and all of that stuff. They used to be Democrats, but now for some reason they think billionaire. Anyway, we don't want to talk politics.
Yeah, I'm sure we could be here all day talking about that subject.
We could be there all day. Yeah. Oh my God! So our friend is here. Theology discussions and debates.
I think that's Jay. That's Jay, the moderator from.
Jay
Eric. Yeah.
Yep. Atheist metaphysics. It just is, right, which is the same as God made it.
You're right.
It's on the same level as God did it. It just is. So there you go. I don't know atheist ethics. It feels right. No, that's not atheist ethics.
There's no such thing as atheist ethics. There's just ethics.
Yeah, there's ethics, right? And we all have it because we're
I'm an
ethical
atheist.
creatures.
My ethics would be Unitarian or utilitarianism mostly. But it's funny that JG is springing up while we're talking about our debates with Eric, because he's a big part of the reason why I won't be debating with Eric or Jay or on his channel anymore. Because in the last debate, Eric was screaming, "Give me some links to support." And I said, "I will. I have them. I'll post them in the chat." And I posted them in the chat, and Jay and Eric deleted them. They deleted the comments. And I called Eric out about it. I messaged him. I said, "Hey, you know, basically almost verbatim, Eric, you naughty boy, did you and Jay delete my links in the comments?" And he responded almost verbatim, "You're too brainwashed to know the real numbers." It was such projection, right? And you don't have any links to support you. And I'm like, you're admitting you deleted the links while saying I don't have them. So I told him, yeah, we're not going to be debating anymore, Eric. That's about all I can take from you.
So
and
I noticed he was
Clark Aries is in the chat, and he can back me up on that. He has the receipts of them both deleting comments and kicking people who were friendly to me out of the live chat.
You mean a professing Christian is a dishonest interlocutor?
Yeah, I know, right?
I can't accept that as reality.
Say it isn't so, right? I can't believe it that such a thing could happen.
We all know Christians on YouTube are honest interlocutors.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott. It's unbelievable almost.
Oh, Captive Desk is doing Saturday Night at the Atheist, which is something that I actually created, but no, he stole it from me. Tonight at 4 p.m. Central, I think. So at Captive Desk channel. I want to mention that. Saturday Night at the Atheist was SNATA, SNATA, was something that we used to do every Saturday when back when I was a young man and I had ambition. When I was like, 66. I was like 68 or something like that. Yeah. I was running around. Anyway.
Being embroiled in vigorous endeavors can keep you young.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Well, I get up every day and either study metaphysics or molecular biology at 4 a.m. So.
Oh, man. That sounds lovely. Yep. I'm usually up at 4 a.m. to the sounds of screaming children because I have two of those.
Oh, yeah. I remember those. Oh, no. Yeah, mine still scream a little bit, but they're both 43 now, so I can turn them down, or I can hang up on them without guilt. Don't fuck off. Anyway. I'm
my
still living with
it's funny, we bring them up a little bit, and that Jay and Eric are maybe here in the comments a little bit. Because my daughter actually saw part of my last debate with him where he was, screaming over me the entire time I'm trying to talk.
Yeah.
And my 6-year-old daughter just looks at me and she goes, "You should have kicked that guy in the nuts." And I broke down laughing. I laughed so hard. Nice. I almost cried. I went and got her ice cream. She got McDonald's. We went to the play place. Oh, it was great.
Yeah. So Captive Desk, put the link in the chat for the Saturday Night at the Atheist tonight.
Oh, awesome.
So, anyway.
Yeah, I'll set a reminder for that.
Yep. Okay. Imagine No Religion. That looks like a good one. That's pretty cool. Anyway.
Great song.
Yeah, so this project, like, what really interests me is a website with like bullet pointed creationist arguments, and I know there have been a few, but we need an updated one, and then a place where anybody can contribute a little piece to it, right? So that we'll have all of these, like this would be something that James Downard and Jackson Wheat would love to contribute to, because they write books that are like that thick with links up the ass. But it would be fun to basically take down each little point and try to do it, try to present their argument, try to steel man their argument as much as we can. And God, I'd love to do the one on ERVs and on what is the other one? Chromosome 2.
Yes.
Those are kind of favorites of mine, to basically Donnie Badinsky.
Yeah.
For a long time he was anonymous, and then a bunch of us found out, and in fact I think Ian Chen had a lot to do with that. We found out who he was, and we found these videos of him selling Volkswagens.
Yeah.
And he was talking in the same tone that he sells creationism. And we found out his name was Donnie Badinsky, and we're like, fuck, you can't write this shit. I mean, it's like, it's like, we were just so thrilled. And we never doxed him. We were very careful, but then he eventually came out himself. Well, in fact, one of his friends doxed him, a crazy guy from Australia.
Oh,
and because he got mad at him. One of his Christian buddies doxed him, so they came out of the closet. So
yeah, I kind of like Donnie. I
like him.
He's kind of funny. He kind of cracks me up a little bit. He's amusing. We have similar interests. Like he likes mixed martial arts a lot, and I used to be a mixed martial artist. We talked about martial arts for like an hour the other day. It was great. A lot of creationists, they're nice people. I don't want to not insinuate that I don't like them or they're bad people. I just think they're wrong about science, and I think they're a little reckless and kind of inadvertently doing damage. So I want to maybe try and change their minds a little bit enough to mitigate that somewhat. But I don't think creationists are bad people. In fact, honestly, I have a lot of admiration for people that are like former creationists and come out of it, because that takes a lot of bravery to walk away from that and kind of admit to your own smallness, to your own ignorance, and open your mind, and you realize how much you've been lied to and manipulated, and admit it to yourself, because there's a strong impulse to just not see it, because you don't want to believe that people that you cared about and who you should be able to trust, misled you that badly. Yeah. Of course, they probably say similar things about people who believe in evolution, Yeah,
I think in like 20 years, when I get senile, I'm going to come out of the closet as a Christian, basically a creationist. Like all of a sudden I saw the light. And then I bet my channel would go up from 700 subscribers to 70,000 overnight.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
If I did that. But who knows, what dementia will bring.
Yeah, it changes people a lot.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. Yeah. My mom changed from, God, she was like this Irish woman, like just the way she would swear was unbelievable. Like when we were little kids, we thought our name we thought our names was cocksucker and son of a bitch. That's what I thought my name was. It's like, but she went from this fiery, crazy Irish woman to this meek little, shell of a person.
Yeah.
And it only took about 5 years. Yeah.
It does seem to change people, because my grandma was the exact opposite. She was a very meek, very sweet, very calm, loving woman before dementia took her. And then she became kind of aggressive and angry sometimes. She would have, outbursts. Yeah, my mom had a particular form that affected the dopamine system, so that she basically, went into a shell, and. Oh, that's so sad. Yeah. I'm sorry, Mike. Yeah, dementia is terrible. That is a big problem that understanding evolution might help us solve. Right. Yep. Yeah. Well, we're coming up on an hour here. I wasn't sure exactly what we wanted to discuss, or my debates with Eric or anything, but I think we've had a great conversation so far. Yeah, we just wanted to specifically get to know you. Put you in the community with my little community. So whatever community you have will merge, and eventually we will make a difference. So I believe that. I still have to believe that. Yep. After all these years. Yeah. So okay, we can end it. Sounds great. It's been great talking to you, Mike. I hope we get to talk more. This was a great stream. Thanks for having
Well,
me.
stop in. Basically, ring the bell when we have videos and stop in. We open it
Absolutely.
up occasionally, and tonight on Saturday Night at the Atheist, I think Dave opens it up to people coming in and stuff, and we just kind of kick things around. It's meant to be a little irreverent, so more irreverent. Of course, he never gets as irreverent as we were on this channel.
Yeah. Oh.
Dave,
And I try not to be irreverent and not to swear and to be the nice picture they like, because it's good to help change people's minds. But I love swearing and getting irreverent. I'm a very sarcastic person in my personal life.
for me to run a channel without swearing, where I came up with my mother the way she was, no way, man.
That's going to be a challenge for me in my Hoving debate, because I know they don't like swearing on the channel.
Yeah.
My current plan is I'm just going to try and make up nonsense noises on the spot. Like, are you kidding me, Kent? Come on, Everybody knows what I mean, but I don't actually say it.
Gurmania's here. Oh my God. I thought you were dead. Somebody told me that we eat babies at Saturday Night at the Atheist. Yeah. Gurmania had a really great channel. For some reason, he backed away from it. I think his girlfriend made him back away from it or whatever. So,
I could see why.
Yeah,
these people can be very aggressive.
Yeah, well, it takes time. It kind of Okay, guys. So we're gonna end it. So anyway, any final word? Subscribe to your channel.
Like and subscribe. Shoot me some money on PayPal if you like what I'm doing. Money. And I'm trying to raise money to go back to school and learn as much about philosophy and science as I can and use it to help the world. So that's good for everybody, And Ian, I'm loving having you in the chat, man. You're great and you're awesome. And he made a point here in the chat, and I guess this is a good final one. This is going to be a big part of my strategy. He says, I'm always polite myself. I never insult on my debates. I'm going to try and do that myself, because I think when you insult people, you build barriers between yourself and them, and that's just another barrier you have to overcome if you want to try and change their minds about things. But, I'm imperfect. I'm just a human, so I get frustrated too, like anybody else, with somebody else.
Not to discourage your plan in any way or fashion, but I think Ian was being a little tongue-in-cheek.
Ian is a master.
You go ahead with that plan not to be insulting.
Ian is a master of the classic English gentleman method of insulting people. You're complimenting them, but really you're just raking them over the coals.
His wit gets you in the kidneys. I mean, it's one of those sharp kidney, punches with a knife.
Yeah.
It's really, I love it when he applies his wit to Hovind and others.
He's great.
Yep. Okay, guys.
All right.
So we're going to shoot her in the head.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay.